Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of What the am I talking about? Today I'm going to be talking about fantasy. Things, stories out of proportion, stories out of reality, things we can escape into, to escape from this world of whatever the fuck is going on. Jesus fucking Christ. I love fantasy. I love the fantasy genre. I love sci-fi especially. That's why I bought The Red Rising. I just bought this book, been loving it. I actually are fucking illiterate, so I can't read. I'm kidding. I actually never read a book and properly enjoyed it that much in my life until I read I read Red Rising and The Offing on my ebook. I couldn't find a physical copy. Amazing books. Red Rising, so fun. Almost finished it. I cannot wait to buy the second one soon. But man, sci-fi and fantasy are such amazing genres and amazing things to play around and think of, and just enjoying it is amazing. That's why I got the Witcher books here that I've read and finished. But you know what? I couldn't really understand because his Andres' style of writing is kind of hard to understand because Siri prays like 50 times in one page, and I cannot imagine like Siri spins that many times in the book. It's crazy, but you know what? Very enticing story. Red Rising, very easy to read, very simple to pick up. And also, I've been watching Game of Thrones recently because I just got HBO Max. I haven't seen or heard any, or like know anything about Game of Thrones except for the word Red Wedding, and I'm on season 8 right now. Sake. But what am I talking about here today? I'm talking about Dungeons and Dragons.
You got.
Especially being a DM in 2024, right? Sorry for the title and sorry for the long-winded intro, but this is essentially just about D&D. Kind of like a DM again in 2025. I haven't been DMing in so long, but this was the year I kind of got back into it, and I'm just gonna talk about some problems and positives I've had as a DM in 2024. Anyways, just to show you how much I love Dungeons and Dragons, let me change the set real quick. Sync. Alright, just to give you an idea of how much I love D&D, I got the new Dungeon Masters guidebook. It cost me too much fucking money. I got the Monster Manual back from 2019 or 2018, I think, and the original 2014 Dungeon Master Handbook. I got this shit when I was like, I think 12, 14, 15 years old, and of course I got some little minifigures here and there. I got the Beholder, very cool. The camera is not focusing, but I got the Beholder here in another set I bought, and I got the Scrap Monster. I never used this. I used it once, I don't know. I never use it again. And also, a hell of a lot of dices. I got at least 7 sets of dice. And of course, I had the starter set. It's not here with me in the door, but it's back in my home. I got the massive fucking Dungeon Master, the DM guide screen. Very cool art, beautiful, classic. You guys probably have seen this many times as a DM, as a D&D player. I got some of my notes here from my campaign as well, if you can see. If you cannot see, oh, here we go. I'm smart. Gliding is not my friend today. But yes, I got that. The dices. I got a notebook for the campaign I am currently running. I got 2 pencils, just in case for anything that happened as a DM. And of course, I got notepads. Jesus Christ, this shit is so useful as a DM. My goodness, I had to improv so many new characters into the campaign out of nowhere. So notebooks, very important. And I got a pencil sharpener because, you know, just stand by, and a rubber. That's just a bunch of stuff I use for the DM. So if you get to look at the stack of stuff that I have, it's about this big. Jesus Christ, yeah, this as well. So yeah, you could say I'm a nerd. You could say I like Dungeons and Dragons. All right, so that's the context of me as a player for Dungeons and Dragons. Such a oh shit. Yay! แต่ระหว่างกูอัดแล้วแม่งกูเผลอขยับอะไรชิบหายเลย So even back in my days, like back when I was, you know, a few like 8 years ago, maybe like so many years ago when I first started DMing, I was not a particularly good one. I was more of the one that just really just got to get the ball rolling, try to have as many cool moments as possible for the players. I say I'm okay. I'm below average probably, but you know what? I had fun. I still had memories of my friends and their campaign and what the characters have done and whatnot. I still remember when my buddy Tom, he DM'd us for like a session 0. Well, not a session 0 for creating, but just like a test run for our players. And surprisingly, my friends who were like at the time did not really get into board games or were not really into like nerdy stuff, they played very well. Dennis, my man, miss you. He played a character who was possessed by a vampire, and the first thing he does after the vampire was awakened in the crypt for the playtest session, he instantly tried to hit one of our friends, and we were all confused, like, why would you want to hit Franz, which is the other player? Why'd you want to hit Franz? And he said, well, I'm possessed. The vampire, he like possessed me. That moment, it happened 8 or 9 years ago. I still remember it in my head to this day because of how incredibly amazing the moment of improv was. And also, that session alone was just amazing to see. On the actual like real campaign, Dennis, he played an orc named Humongous, and we had Tom, well bless Tom, that how much of an asshole he is, I still pray for him. He created a whole story for us, whole areas and maps and stories and whatnot to tie back to our characters and everything. We played for one session for like 12 hours and then it was it because for some reason. But there was that one moment where Humongous, Dennis's character, we were trying to run away from a group of like goblins or a group of enemies. He jumped up into the air, leaped up, rolled a nat 20, and then did like a fucking meteor strike onto the ground. Of course, this is like not correcting or like it's not according to the rule of Dungeons and Dragons whatsoever. But at the time, it was one of the best moments of D&D ever. And I feel like that's very special in my heart. And also just for my campaign, there were several moments where I DM'd for my own group. And I had this one time where my best friend, my brother, Mark, he was playing a rogue character and then he rolled like a natural 1 trying to kill the BBEG. So I made him where his character was trying to hit the enemy. The bad guy hold his hand like in the air with his magic, cut his arm off, and then that was pretty much it. And then the wizard at the time tried to teleport them out of the air before it was taken. And that was where and that was where that campaign ended. But you know what? I still remembered it. I don't know if my players remembered it, but I remembered it. It was good times. It was just fun to do that even back in the day. There was another one where I DM as an online session. I had this one player, his name's Scott. He played, I forgot what he played, like maybe a sorcerer or something, but at some point he asked me if he could eat his own shoe because his character would do that. And so we rolled to see what would happen, and then in order to behold, he got poisoned because of the shoe. But it was just amazing and fun roleplay moments that I had like 8 or 7 or 4 or 5 years ago, and I still think that it stays in my heart and I still love Dungeons and Dragons to this day. So, alright, to get to the point right now, in 2025, the rules has been changed, right? For people who's not really caught up, there are other videos you can watch to caught up. But from what I've known in my head is that there is a new kind of like rulebook, new player's handbook for it. This Dungeon Master's Guide is the new edition, the 2024 edition, because I've heard 2014 edition was just not really on about that world building stuff. It's more about like magical items and just a list of magic items. This one, I've been reading just like the first 40 pages. I haven't gotten that far yet. Very, very insightful, very well written, very good, and I think it's very resourceful for what I can do for my campaign. The Monster Manual and the Player Handbook one that I have is 2014 version, so it's not that up to date, but I've heard that the new rules is there, and the new rules for Player Handbook is that, in my experience as a new DM, I haven't DM'd like 3 years, maybe. I DM'd a few sessions like a few years ago, but I wouldn't really count them as a big one, but it's still like a little something here and there. But with the new edition of rules, holy level 1s are a lot more powerful than you think. This still is very squishy. There's still very squishy characters, but at the end of the day, I still feel like the players get to have a lot more choices and a lot more fun and more options and strategies on what they can use for their characters and whatnot. And I feel like for this new edition of 2025, as a new DM, it's been pretty good. It's been fun. You have so many new resources, so many other websites for you to use to build your world, build your characters, and build your settings and themes and whatnot. And I feel like it's just very nice. It's very good. It's very cool. The community of D&D, even though the disaster that was the Wizard of the Coast decisions, whatever that was, Jesus Christ. The community still loves the game, and to this day, I still watch Critical Role. I still love Critical Role, even though I haven't caught up. I'm starting to rewatch Campaign 3 again, and it's been very enjoyable. It has given me some ideas on my campaign. I'm loving Bernard Lee Mulligan. I'm still worshipping Matt Mercer, but all the other new contents, like I don't know some of the names that much, but I still see many new different D&D content creators coming up, and I'm feeling very proud and very happy to see that there's still a community growing for this TTRPG. I watched Jenny D on videos on her on her stuff. I watched Bob World Builder. I watched so many different videos. I watched the guy with the hat. It was very cool. But I feel like in this day and age, we have a lot more resources and a lot more options on what we can do. And that's very, very cool. But all right, that was the positives. Here's some negatives I've had recently. First off, my Dungeons and Dragons campaign is in Thai. All right? So here's the problem. I'm bilingual, right? Okay, I speak English mainly as my first language, but I'm born Thai. I'm a Thai person, right? And all my friends are Thai. So you can guess, when I've influenced by Matthew Mercer, I'm influenced by his imagination, his improv ways of coming up with these descriptions of monsters in the room, the toothy maw.
Toothy maw. Deal with it. This is the perfect circumstance for the term.
And then influenced by Bernard Lee Mulligan, the absolute chaotic DM who's a masterclass at note-taking and just going along with the players' decisions and understanding the world, understanding the characters. They are the pillar, man. They are legendary DMs. Imagine being influenced by them, right? And then trying to transcribe all those skills into Thai. Holy it is so hard. I cannot for the life of me explain a dark cavern cave with vines hanging down and insects crawling on the bricks of the ground as you walk into this crypt. In Thai, this is how it will sound like. เข้ามาในห้องถ้ำมืดข้างบนมีเชือกออกลงมาพื้นมีแมลงขึ้นมาจากพื้นดินห้องใต้ดินแห่งนี้ You notice how much I pause and stuff and how much I have to like find the word for it. That is my problem. My problem is that I'm just stupid. I can't find the words for it and I can't entice the players into my world enough. Secondly, I'm nervous as shit. When I DM for my old players, I was young and I didn't really care about like other things that much. But for my new group, I know they've played D&D before. They've had some experience. I have one player who's not experienced at all. He's actually sitting right there. He's my roommate and he's never played D&D before until I told him to, and then he kind of enjoys it and he liked it. But the other two people I have in my campaign, they've had some experience in D&D. They've played D&D before, but still. And they're good friends of mine, very good friends, but oh my goodness, I am tensing up. I'm sweating my ass off. I created this world. The world of Imperium is my campaign, right? And I've made these regions, these continents, these cities, the forces behind, the stories of everything, and why the world was split into 4 continents, and why there was an oppression years of. I have all that lore stuff, right? And then when I try to explain it to them, I've had 5 or 10 minutes of me just sitting there like being a nervous wreck because I was so scared to explain my story to them in Thai. That is my main concern for me right now. And that has been a barrier that I can't seem to break. I'm slowly breaking it down like the wall in Game of Thrones. But I'm slowly breaking it down and I'm trying to be better at it. But for right now, in this time of recording, I'm not that good. I'm trying to be better, but you know, that's how you do D&D. You fail like hell, and then you slowly get better from there. It's everything in life, right? D&D, eventually it would lead to life lessons, and that's how much I've gained from it by just saying, you know what, I'm a DM. The day when I was gonna DM, I was prepared. I got ready. I got all my stuff. I got music. I got all these books. I got these dices. And then when the players came, I was still nervous as shit. But then when the session goes underway, and I gave them this situation what they can do, and then it just spawned these spur-in-the-moment actions that are very fun and very entertaining. And I feel like that's what I have to do. Just keep DMing and then keep being prepared for the next sessions and whatnot, and just keep going from there. That's my first problem. Second problem, this video has been babbling. I'm just yapping about. I apologize, but this is just how I am. I have no script. I'm just saying everything out of my head here. The problem I have right now is the fact that my DM and combat is not very fun. You could say that is, you know, okay, I'll take the responsibility of it. I have made the encounter very bare bone, basic. You go into a dungeon, you fight these people, or you escape, or you try to hide from them, but most of them, they just want to fight and keep going and have like this different type of enemy to attack them and whatnot. I had this player, my roommate, he's a paladin. Right? His name is Ponoglyph, and what I have for him to do is that every time he kills like an undead enemy or an evil enemy, he would say the word Requiem and then it would kind of be like a blessing to the enemies. It's just a little fun gimmick I make for him, and that's what he needs to do to kill these some of the enemies in the dungeon. So they fought some skeletons, and I just kind of have him where the skeletons die. They got 0 hit point, but when they was dying, the skeletons slowly start shaking and vibrating as they slowly come back together, because at the time, the paladin, Poneglyph, did not bless it. And that's why it came back to be as a full skeleton once again, and they had to fight it once again until Poneglyph had to bless and say Requiem. That's what I had them doing. But then at the end, I had them fighting a shadow demon. They were level 2, but I dumbed them down as low as I dumbed down the stats of the shadow demon as low as I can, so then it will be interesting and fun for them. And they beat it. It was good and well. They got the information they need. And then I asked them. I tried to do this thing where every time I end the session, I ask them, "Yo, give me some tips. What do you want from the session? What do you want from the next consequential sessions?" Right? And the latest one I got was that the combat was too simple. The things were not enough options. And it was not a lot of versatility. They're not versatile. It's not very dynamic, you could say. It's very stiff. It's a very stiff combat, right, from what they're feeling. But I feel like, okay, they were not as creative enough, maybe? Okay, that sounds very bad. I just mean like they don't really know what they had, because, the problem with that, they are Thai, right? All the spells and everything in D&D Beyond, which is the app we use, is all in English, and it's been creating a problem where every time we try to do something, or the players try to do or choose an action or do something, they have to ask me every time because they don't understand the words they're reading. They have to do even more extra steps to go into the spells and read the description out loud. And I feel like that's just one of the things that is the problem with D&D. It doesn't really accommodate people of different languages or whatever, because my friends, they really want to play D&D, but they can't really read English or understand English that well. As a bilingual DM, I have to try to explain to them in a way that understands and concise, and it's just been cumbersome. It's been very hard to, balance these things that's in English and explain to them in Thai, especially like describing a room or describing the vibe of the place or the spells and the actions and everything. And it's very hard for them to remember things as well, which is fine because it's the first time playing Dungeons and Dragons. And, I think everything will be solved with time and experience. But for now, this is just what I have been experiencing in my session. But that's pretty much it. I still love Dungeons and Dragons. I still love the possibilities of creating this beautiful world with these beautiful and crazy monsters, with the interesting rules, you could say, for combat or adventuring or traveling or whatever. But my goodness, is it beautiful? The pieces of art born from this just dungeon screen alone. Look at this fucking dragon, man. That shit is sick, all right? And then the information screen with all these different information pieces. Very detailed and thorough, crafted information, art in these books that are fucking captivating and so cool to look. The iconic monsters like owlbears, Mimic, Vecnar. I fucking love D&D. I love Dungeons and Dragons. The world and possibilities you could do with it, not just fantasy, but just sci-fi. It is a beautiful and amazing hobby. Mind you, expensive, but it doesn't have to be expensive. This doesn't need to exist for you to play D&D. Grab a piece of paper, download the Dungeons and Dragons app. If you're into the art, if you're into this amazing world, this amazing hobby, go out there and play it, man. It's so fun. Even in 2025, Dungeons and Dragons is still a fun TTRPG to play. And even as a DM, even as nervous as I am, as sweaty as I was DMing my first session in Thai, I have fun because my players were creative and they had their moments, and I created this place and it was just improv fun. I love D&D. And I think that most of you who are nerds or are into fantasy stuff as well would love Dungeons and Dragons, even in the old 2025. We leave a lot of stuff behind in every year, in every decade. But growing up, even as a 20-year-old, I am not gonna stop loving Dungeons and Dragons. So, for all the things I've talked about all the fun I've had, all the problems and the pros I've had with D&D, all the choices you could do with these dices. This 1d20 has spawned so many different moments in the community and so many beautiful and wonderful and hilarious and heart-touching and emotional moments in each and every table that it touches. So with that in mind, I will ask you this. What do you want to do next? มานี้หน่อยวะวันนี้หน่อย He's the roommate, he's the poneglyph, he's the paladin มึงอธิบายหน่อยว่าตอนที่กูเป็น DM มึงรู้สึกเป็นไงบ้าง
สุดยอดครับผมสุดยอด
สุดยอด
สุดยอดสุดยอด
ภาษาอังกฤษดิ
ไม่รู้เรื่อง
ภาษาไทยต่อ
นั่นแหละ อธิบายดี
อธิบายดี
รู้เรื่อง ตามด้วยเรื่องทัน
ทำเรื่องทันว้าว
แล้วแบบมีเพื่อนบางคนโรลเพลย์อะไรเงี้ยแล้วแบบไปไหลลื่นได้อะไรแบบนี้
โอเค cool thank you กูจะใส่ตรงไหนในวิดีโอดีวะ